right, we're good to go. Hello and welcome, everybody. Glad you can all make it tonight. I can't tell how many people are in the stream at this stage. This is something I've been wanting to do for a couple years now, and I finally got the opportunity. Well, I should say I convinced Folkpunk to let me do this. So what are we here for? This is, I came into the community back in January 2nd, 2022. I instantly met three artists, and they caught my attention. And that's Brad Example, Folk and Blueser, and of course, Folk Punk. I would sit and I was amazed for the sound. I was looking up charts, doing research, trying to find who these guys were. They must be artists from the past, maybe under a different name. I knew very little about YouTube, but the music was spectacular. I would sit in the yard for hours, right into the late hours in the evening around the fire pit, and just listen to all three of these incredible artists, and I'm blessed to have met them. So I'm reading off a piece of papers because I don't want to forget anything. This means a lot to me. Folk punk is a dear, dear friend of mine, and I'm sure a friend of so many in the communities. You all know the size of his heart. He's the only guy I know that has a Bandcamp channel and doesn't charge anybody for his music. In the fall of 2022, Folkpunk sent me a CD, Stones Like Clouds, and with it came a story, written story that he had wrote about a fictional character named Johnny Stoker. It was an amazing story. It was like, did he actually write this? Since that day, I've been trying to get him to showcase the story along with the album. This past summer, Folkpunk made some connections with Teen Cancer America to look at ways to extend the Music for Life charity project idea that Russ had come up with, which was very successful. And I was glad to be part of. As of today, Folkpunk has officially made Stones Like Clouds a Teen Cancer America benefit album. Obviously, this album can be found on Bandcamp. He made an exclusive page featuring this album and dedicated only to this charity. All proceeds from here on in to any one of these songs that are purchased through Bandcamp will go directly to Teen Cancer. And throughout this show, the only person I sent an email to was Indy. We have some links that we can post, but I can do it as soon as the show starts also. The album consists of 7 songs plus a bonus track, and with Bandcamp you can't see what the bonus track is, but I will tell you. Oops, I have friends. So the first song is The Book. Second song being I Can't Wait, Psalm 102. Third song is Stones Like Clouds, self-titled. The fourth song is These Are the Times. The fifth song is Maybe on This Time. The sixth song will be Living in the Streets. And the seventh song will be Not a Cloud in the Sky, Not a Sky in the Cloud, pardon me. And the bonus track, Folkpunk really wanted to put Rose on a Jacket's new release, first release, a collab with himself and Viv Sparrow, their rendition of New World. But you won't see it on the list for whatever reason. Bandcamp doesn't show the bonus track, but that'll be track number 8. Throughout the show that you're going to be seeing that I put together, I'm not going to call it barcode, Folkpunk, QR code. You'll see a QR code come up. That'll take you to the digital linear notes which explain the story also. Once again, thank you everyone for coming here tonight. Please, if you have any change to spare, we would definitely appreciate it. All proceeds are going to the Teen Cancer America. It's an amazing cause. It's a great cause, an important cause, and a beautiful thing that JJ has done here. Links will be posted once again in the chat throughout the show. And finally, after this short little rock opera, which I'm sure you're going to enjoy, we'll have Folkpunk come up on the panel, and he'll explain in details about each song and how this all came to be. And we have a special treat. We all get to meet for the first time the man behind the production of folk punk music. So that's I haven't met him. I just met him a couple minutes ago backstage. Didn't get time to talk to him, and I'm looking forward to it myself. So, without further ado, let's go. The fictional story of Johnny Stoker by Mr. Folkpunk himself.
John E. Stoker was a Wisconsin rock and roller. When his life fell apart in the first week of September 2001, he took a few remaining possessions and hitchhiked to New York City. Included in those possessions were a handful of homemade CDs with Midwest return addresses written on them. They were entitled, "Take this CD and copy it if you like it, then pass it on." Over the last 20 years, John's friends back in the Midwest gradually received those homemade CDs bearing their return addresses. John had apparently left them at various rest area pavilions and little coffee shops while hitchhiking back east in 2001. The Stones Project, featuring songs the Friends of Folkpunk have recorded by dubbing over those original tracks found on those homemade CDs of John's recordings are what you hear now. This is his story.
And those were the days when everything was possible. The book of life was easily readable, and life became a tragedy that I let unfold. And life became a mystery that's still unresolved. Maybe someday I can catch you falling some way. Maybe I can keep you calling my name. Some way I can keep from falling to you. Some way I can catch you falling. And stranger than fiction, a strong addiction. And faith like a holy book, and the words that I mistook. So if your life is poetry, then you best be whole. But if your life is biology, then your soul is already been sold. And maybe someday I can catch you falling some way. Maybe I can keep you calling my name. Some way I can keep from calling you. Some way I can catch you falling. Wouldn't it be cool if this was just a prequel? And we still had the stories to live, and then there are sequels with autobiography. Why let it all be told? Why wish it was a mystery that never had to grow old? Maybe someday I can catch you falling some way. Maybe I can keep you calling my name. Some way I can keep from falling to you. Some way I can catch you falling. So if your life is poetry, then you best be whole. But if your life is biology, your soul has already been sold. And maybe someday I can catch you falling some way. Maybe I can keep you calling my name. Some way I can keep from falling to you. Someday I can catch you when you
Although to John's friends, it seemed as if he had given up everything, the songs he composed along the route to New York City that late summer show that one thing he had not given up was the willingness to wait for things to return. He once was heard to say that some things you can't wait to have, and others are so precious that you can wait forever.
I can wait, I can wait till you think things over. I can wait till hell is frozen tundra. I can wait, rainbows wait for showers. I can wait, like lightning waits for thunder. can wait, I can wait till you see more clearly. I can wait, I can wait and still love you dearly. I can wait, it's for summer. I can waits for wonder. I've always known that you're the best I'd ever need. How you still make my heart beat. Oh, make me complete. Cause I've always known it, baby. I'll wait, 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 wait.
As the miles of his trek increased, so did the depth of his despair. At times he seems to feel like a biblical character banished to the desert, singing laments from a cave in the wilderness.
For my days pass away like smoke, and my bones burn like a furnace. My heart is stricken and withered like grass. I am too wasted to eat my bread. Because of my loud groaning, my bones cling to my skin. I am like an owl of the wilderness, like a little owl of the waste places. I lie awake. I am like a lonely bird on the housetop. All day long, my enemies taunt me. Those who deride me use my name for a curse. For I eat ashes like bread and mingle tears with my drink. Because of your indignation and anger, for you have lifted me up and thrown me aside. My days are like an evening shadow. I wither away like grass.
Torn between the haunting thoughts of what he had not been able to do and the defeated acceptance of what his fate was, John continues onward like Odysseus driven by some unseen siren song. Even in the darkest moments, joy can still be found. I remember John saying to me before he embarked on the fateful journey that September of 2001, "At least we still have everything in memories." Good memories last long after the events that created them. Hey, man. Jerry. Wicked Drive. As John finally reached New York City that first week of September, it appears he was still determined to resurrect the life he once had. All he needed was a chance to try and do things better than before. John was last seen living on the street in Manhattan near the underground mall of the World Trade Plaza. A recipient of one of those last homemade CDs on the hike to New York City was a young man who had sat with John on the street there and shared a hamburger with him.
Belongings in these brown bags, adults and children growing. Human rights flag, winter's coming. Can you hear it humming? Can you feel it coming? Oh, the frost, it freezes my face to the marble sheet. This year won't be as cold as the last.
John was never seen again after the attack in Manhattan on September 11th. Over the many years it took to gather all of the CDs John had made during his journey to New York City, we had always wondered what had happened. It was as if there was no sky through the clouds. If only the stones we must all carry could be as light as clouds. 1-1. Thank you so much, Frank. Ooh, thank you so much, Frank. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Jeez, I didn't do anything. I just put together all your music and images and
And thank you to Lance, because
yes,
that's who,
introducing Lance. I'll let you do it. This is the man behind the folk punk music.
this is my jam buddy, my recording engineer, producer, co-creator, friend of, we're at 40 years now, man. It was 84.
Wow.
Lance.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a long time, man.
Very long. Yes, actually, we haven't grown much, but our hair has definitely changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing that changed.
That and my eyesight.
Is that better, Snooks?
Yes, we were a little low on the volume for Frank here. It's nice to have a correction.
Okay, great. We're good. It's okay, Mr. Smith. Nice to see you. So, first of all, I want to thank everybody out there. I guess I could look. No, I don't know how to do that. But there was quite a few people. I was busy in the chat. And yeah, it was a blast. Thank you all for coming out. I hope some of you, if you haven't, you plan on purchasing this digital copy of this beautiful album for a great cause. Every cent of it is going to Teen Cancer America. And I'm so proud of you, Folk Punk, for everything you do for so many people in this community. And I hope you generate a few dollars for this great cause. And awesome.
It's a great charity. If anyone goes to their website, you can see they actually even have a program where they work with the kids who are undergoing cancer treatment, in a program where the kids get to make and record music. So, you know, how can we not love that?
Yes, Cindy, that is whoever was asking. That is Lance at the bottom. That's Folk Punk. I don't know. Am I pointing that way?
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Oh, this mirror image is messing me up, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, actually, that's right. That's how my life works.
Yeah, everything seems reversed in my life too. But
So,
yeah,
you know, I wonder. I see Thomas and everybody do this. If we give a shout out to who's in the chat, if I've got this right, looking at it, and you guys can help me out here. So we see Tony, Howie, Mr. Smith, Ali Gradia, DJ Big Red 81, Indy Many United, Clayton Von Kluge, Hetriati, Mr. Smith again. Oh, okay, I'm probably doubling these up, aren't I? Trevor Beers. Oh, I can't remember who I've already read. How do they do this? Snooks 22, Pookie at 15th Ben, Feisty Feather, Queen Survivor, Snook. I'm so sorry if I'm missing anybody or I'm saying anybody 5 times. Lady Campion, Rainfield Music, Lord Spike Protein. There has to be a way they do this better than just what I'm scrolling through here. Guardium. Oh my God. NB Metal. Michael Thompson. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. D Libby 68. Everybody, thank you so kindly.
and thank you, Independent Many United, for posting all those links. You saved us. I was lost. Apparently, one of my links was something wrong with it. So I'm so glad you're here. And thanks to all the mods here tonight. This is wonderful. This is a special night. I've been looking forward to this. Actually put off my album premiere just for this, so I can work on more on it. And yeah, so Geez, I wrote some notes, but now that I've got you guys here, I don't have to do anything. I really want to talk about each one of these songs. If there's anybody in the chat have any questions, please throw them up, and chances are I'll miss them anyways. But I'm looking, I'm paying attention. Let's. How do you want to start this? I'd love to hear how. The little, I'm going to put this down because I've spoken to you so much about this whole project, and 20 years in the making. 20
Yes.
years in the making, this project, and the stories that I've heard and pictures of the cottage, and I don't even know where to start. We could start from song one, but I don't even know if it starts at song one.
Well, actually, ironically, song one, the book, was the first one recorded, right, Lance? That was actually in 2001, I believe.
I think it was more like 2002, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, in preparing, I've been doing a little background work and preparing for tonight. I found I mixed it in July 27th of 2003, which, knowing the pace that we work at, it was probably recorded, in 2002, late in 2002. This was before I had automation and a computer. There are 37 attempts at the mix on that CD. Most of them aborted, and there's like 10 that were completed. So that's how we got the book finalized there, because I would, have to move the faders and bring things in and out manually in real time as it went. That's pretty frustrating. So,
And this, I've got some notes because I've been talking with Folkpunk, and he's helped prepare some of these. The farmhouse. So, Dave, just tell me that story.
Do you remember that, Lance? The first time I came up to Mazamani and was playing in the kitchen, I think for some reason we were in the kitchen, playing the book. Dave happened to swing by, and he walked in as we were playing, and he said, "Wait a minute," and he ran out to his car and grabbed a keyboard. I think it was like a reddish color keyboard.
there's a Korg, yes. A Korg Karma, actually.
There you
That vintage of keyboard from 20 years ago.
And he just sat right with us. You were watching me play and started playing by watching the chords I was playing, and he either by ear, which probably by ear because he's amazing, or by watching what we were playing. And all those intricate piano parts in the book were like created on the spot right there. First time ever heard. Wasn't when we recorded it, but he basically played what's recorded. Dave Adler, amazing.
Yeah,
but
that's
he's all over this record, yeah. And he likes your music, JJ. He's connected with it like a lot of the people in this community have. You're real and you're honest. You don't hold anything back, and you don't try to be anyone you're not. And who you are is kind of unique, but it's really interesting. So you've made a fan out of Dave, and that's why we have him all over this record. It's really cool. He's really a joy to work with, because he can improvise the most amazing stuff when he's in the mood and he's into it. This amazing stuff comes out of the guy. I'm still working with him to this day. He plays in our band, the Rustic Road Band, and it's just an old friend, and it's cool how music keeps people together over the decades.
It's incredible. And you may have seen kind of a shocked look on my face there a moment ago. I was clicking over, and I just went to the dashboard page of Bandcamp, and there's $100 in sales raised for teen cancer already. That's just amazing. Thank you.
that's awesome.
And that's just like what they're showing right now. So wow, awesome.
Well done, everybody. That is fantastic. And yeah, you didn't say hi. Oh wait, we have somebody else.
Yes,
on the panel.
Another musician from the record.
Yes.
One of the FOF, the Friends of Folk Punk.
All right, folkpunk, you can officially introduce.
This is Sarah, Lance's wife. The vocals that you hear, especially, I mean, she's on a number of them, but the hallmark one is on the Stones Like Clouds chorus, that siren song. That's Sarah.
Hi.
How you doing, Sarah?
Great
Good.
to meet you, Sarah.
Hi. Lance has been playing your album in the basement, trying to get ready for tonight, and he's had his headphones on the whole time. So I was so excited to sit down and listen to the album in full again because it's been a while, and I love it.
It's one that when you go back to it after a year, a couple of years, it sounds as fresh and as it hits you as much as it did the first listen.
Yeah.
And were you listening downstairs? So they have this really nice stereo system. And at one point, Lance, you had the subwoofers that were so big that when we sat and listened to it, that final bass note from Dr. Bausch at the end of the album, on the end of another, it felt hearing the note felt like somebody had kicked you in the chest. It was like, come right in.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to hurt.
That's how you're
Or vibrate you. You're supposed to not be able to ignore it, I guess. It's like you either rock with it and throw your fists in the air or you go home.
I think that's how you're supposed to listen to folk punk, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, whether you want to or not, that kind of does happen. I think the best critique of folk punk ever came from a third grader.
Hey, Marshall.
Who said it made her feel like she wanted to rip paper.
Probably the vocals.
More than likely. Yes, and not Sarah's vocals. It would have been mine.
Well, I've been listening to a bunch of Frank's music this week and getting ready for this and hearing the nice things he said about your record tonight. That's really makes me feel good that another accomplished musician is really getting what we're trying to do here. And, it's really rewarding. I thanks to Frank and this whole community, it's pretty cool.
Oh,
That,
and
this album stayed in the basement for decades practically. And
I
now
was trying to rip it off of him too. Like, you got to do something with this. This is got a nice story. It's such a beautifully put together. It's poetry. It's poetry in motion. It's just beautiful. And I was honored that he gave me the green light, and he said, yeah. And everybody in this community knows I hate doing videos, but I was so pumped to put this one together. Yeah.
And it's something that when it was all put together, and we really started to realize it was a concept album, it was intended to be listened in a one sitting listen. And I've shared the tracks on different live stream shows, but they were always, the individual tracks. And the whole album is 36 minutes without the narration. But then the idea you had, Frank, of having the little narrations before each song really, I think, made it become a narrative concept that is what we had always planned. But I think that little addition there, it really did it. So I'm so cool. It's so cool that you made something that we now have a version of where we can hear it as it was always intended to be heard.
Yeah, I sent you the copy of the whole video. You can forward it to Lance. Yeah,
I'll do that, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, I was actually thinking about that about halfway through. I was like, oh man, I'd like to see this.
Yeah, I'll send you the file.
It's hard to stay in frame when you're from another dimension. Sorry.
So can I ask you guys a question? Because I don't know some of these things. So how much of the album was recorded at the farmhouse and how much of the album was recorded in the Seth Peterson little cottage there?
You're a lifesaver, Sarah. I don't have to read these anymore.
and that's something that Lance and I were talking about. It actually encompasses even more than that. We think there was a little bit when this was Digital Glass Studio, and then there was Mazo Audio, and then Artisan. So the parts that were recorded in the Seth Peterson cottage, which if people don't know, Seth Peterson cottage is, I believe, the only Frank Lloyd Wright architecture that can be rented by the general public and stayed in. It's a former like a hunting lodge, guys. Is that what it is? It was a hunting cabin or something designed, or I guess for Seth Peterson. And it's glass and stone and wood and just an incredible studio to record in to get a sound. So we went up there, Lance and I went up there and recorded the trilogy, which is the last 3 songs of the album. And they were recorded kind of in one blurt at like what, 3 a.m, because it was like $300 to rent this cottage for a day. But you know, as studio time goes, $300, and we got all 24 hours. And what was the Grateful Dead song that we spent about 2 hours going? So many takes.
You had to bring that up.
So many takes, or so many roads. Yeah, that was it. But we had the 3.
I think you have a friend of yours in the chat, Daniel Nicholson.
Dano!
Yeah.
Oh, totally cool.
Hey, Dan.
Dan goes back to when Lance and I first met 40 years ago. So
wow,
this
is so cool.
He is one that has been listening to folk punk for 40 years. Yeah, whether he liked it or not again. But yeah, so recorded at Seth Peterson would have been maybe on this time, living in the streets, not a sky in the cloud, and no, not I Can Wait. That Stones Like Clouds was recorded in there.
These are the times.
These are the times. Yeah. We must have just planned that little, hey, Drive, how you doing? intro, because that was making me think it was at one of your houses, the studios. But
you were acting again, Jay. You were acting like you were acting like you had, this was the era where you would drive up to play and see me, like once a month or something. And, by then, so you were acting that, you had done that.
And I mean, and we had an idea that this would be,
he was, it's definitely, that one's in the cottage. It's cool what the cottage does. The cottage does something like Alpine Valley. And if you don't know what that is, it's a wooden curved ceiling amphitheater here in East Troy, Wisconsin. And it doesn't actually have a reverb. What it does is add an ambience around the sound if you record it right. It's a really good acoustics at Alpine Valley. And it's just, I've studied it for years, what it does there. And the cottage does a similar thing. Our recording wound up with an ambience around the sounds that you can't quite just get everywhere. And like when JJ gets loud and some of the singing, like when he says, I had this one chance, there's this little weird halo around the sound that happens. So it's interesting. It's from a sonic standpoint.
And that's what it is behind me right there.
Yeah, very cool. I've been having trouble with my, I don't know what it is, but we had some slideshow lined up, but I don't want to take a chance of ruining the stream.
Right. Yeah, if I don't move, as long as I don't start spinning like I did during Hummingbird last week.
It's still amazing tech for you that you have the picture up, Jay. So, nice work. And, thank you, Frank, for all the production on the stream and the StreamYards and the YouTube. That's not nothing. So we're certainly appreciating it here.
Thank you. Truly, the honor was mine. Folk punk is loved by everybody in these communities, and they respect your music and what you've done. And I'm so glad you and Sarah came on the panel. I know folk punk was pumped. He called me right away. He says, yes, Lance is coming. Wow. But he was kind of afraid earlier when he didn't hear from me. It was, I hope he's okay.
I told him, I said at 11 o'clock, I said, hey, don't rush, no stress. Well, it's a 3-hour drive from where Lance lives to where I live. And at 11 o'clock, he said he had missed his 11 o'clock leave time. But so I figured, okay, 12. So by 4:30, when I hadn't heard or got an email or seen him, I did start to worry if something had happened down the road. So I sent an email. I'm just like, you okay?
You didn't think that I was perhaps down at the computer giving myself a creak in the neck with my mouth?
I was hoping. I was very much hoping.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to be right back. I'm grabbing my ice pack.
So the I Can Wait song, the second, are we on the second song?
Yeah, let's go to the second song. Yeah.
So the second song has something that was from when you guys lived in Oconomowoc, because I remember it's the one that you can hear at the end of it, all kinds of crickets and when it comes into Psalm 102, which actually on the album is one song, I Can Wait and Psalm 102 go together. You hear coyotes. And so this was done not at the farmhouse. This particular part of the track was done in Oconomowoc because I was sitting at one computer and we had audio files of like coyote sounds from some website or something. And then you, Lance, were over on your computer that had a DAW and somehow it was connected. And I was like almost playing at the keyboard like a MIDI controller and just clicking different ones of the patterns. And it turned out to sound like this coyote symphony.
Is that right? I don't remember that at all.
We were just looking for a good coyote sound, and we found a bunch of good coyote sounds, but they didn't quite sound right. It's like we would really need to mix some of these together, and I figure out a way to track that somehow. I don't even remember how I did that.
Yeah, I know. You were on a separate computer.
I just remember you really getting into it. Like you just really went nuts. It's like you got really interested.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
At the dog food bowl, he just went off and then when we combine that with the surreal violin sounds, it really gets 3-dimensional and kind of creepy and freaky sounding in the background there.
And so I've described to people, and I may have had it wrong, but Biff has some kind of like a theremin with the violin combined or something, isn't there, in there at the end?
How did he do that? It could have been an ebow on his violin, but yeah, he modified his instruments and would put he put a theremin in the violin somehow.
But it gives the ending there where it sounds like you're going into a tunnel being enveloped by the sound and waves out. That's whatever he is doing on that whatever instrument it is. And that's the thing that about this album that just is so precious to me is I gave Lance a track with an acoustic guitar and a vocal, and okay, sometimes 2 acoustic guitars because Lance would play, and occasionally he would background sing, but not all the time. And then I left it like a seed planted in a garden, and I would come up and visit him, and literally over like 15 plus, almost 20 years, different people would come through his studios and either hear something or he'd grab them and put on. So the end product of what we hear today, I wasn't present for. And it was beyond anything I could have ever imagined from those first acoustic guitar and vocal tracks in the Seth Peterson cottage. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Oh, there's a little nod to the producer. Yes, I produced the snot out of this. But, I thought his music was worth it because if you look at it, the poetry, the way JJ throws together lyrics and his flair for language, is very compelling. And, I've always believed him and I thought it was worth it. So, I wanted to give it my all and that's what I did.
You notice I have a red light behind me because I thought that might help block how much I'm blushing. Although somebody did warn me about having a red light that it might give a different, but whatever.
Well, a little later, something else happens in that room.
That's a different live stream.
That's where he makes his money. How can afford
Okay,
it?
next question.
Yeah, I shouldn't be wearing my Rise shirt for that.
I wanna thank Independent Many United for continuously posting these links, and thanks for
Thank
helping
you.
push this album through. And like Folkpunk mentioned last time we checked, he said little over $100 was raised. That's fantastic. Once again, it's a great cause, and please stop by his Bandcamp channel that he specifically set up for this album, and it'll all proceeds are donated to Teen Cancer America. It's a great cause. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And 9 o'clock, Independent Many United has a stream. Please post it. We'll probably be done by then. Psalm 102, you did tell me you wrote it as an acoustic. It was originally as an acoustic.
It was me on an acoustic guitar reading Psalm 102 out of the New Standard Revised Version Bible, just word for word right out of it.
Wow.
And then I think, Lance, was it Dr. Bausch that came by and heard it and was like, oh my God, I got to play on that? Or one of the people that are playing on it, because there's a crazy wild bass track that fits perfectly on there.
Well, yeah, that's our friend Chris Bausch. We call him a doctor because he nearly got a DMA in philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, that was close enough.
Yeah. He's a doctor.
He stopped at the dissertation, but a good long friend. The bass work on this album is fantastic, and if you look, he plays like folk punk should, right? Which is a different kind of music. It's very intense. It has a ferocity to it, and he matches that. He goes nuts. He shreds the bass. And in this case, he sort of came up with a really avant-garde sort of. What would you call that? Polyrhythmic, bass part.
Yeah, exactly.
Which really helps make it unique and really, it's a really, that song is really, it's really poetry. JJ has a good poetry voice.
And it's one chord. I'm playing one, like a B minor with an E added.
Very cool.
So yeah, and then all of the sound effects, the environmental sound effects, just completely make it. And then Biff's violin theremin work. Oh, wow, yeah. And then the sound of that, the way it leaves me when I listen to it emotionally. And then we come into the Stones Like Clouds track, where Sarah. I actually, the first time I heard Sarah's vocals on that track, Lance's guitars on some of the others, but specifically this listed when I first heard most of what he had done and hadn't even had a clue. I believe I cried. I think I cried, and it was not crying in a way that it was just like a release of just like, I melted into the chair. I was in a nice, comfortable chair. We were set up, but wow, that middle where you're doing that vocalization part. Wow. Yeah, I will never forget that.
I have Sade to credit for that, because I think I was listening to a lot of Sade during that time, and then I came out to Mazomanie, and it's always, Mazomanie is like stepping into a whole new world. You walk into that farmhouse and you don't know when you're going to walk back out and what's going to happen to you while you're there.
Yes. If we had more time, there's a story about a beagle that we could tell, but that's for another time. But yes, the farmhouse had a unique vibe to it.
Yeah.
As long as it wasn't summer with the mosquitoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you get extra percussion.
Hey, wait, I didn't mix that. Yeah.
But I love that song, JJ. I think I always will. I sometimes Lance and I play that when we sit around playing songs together.
I would love to hear you cover that. I would love to hear you cover that.
So would we.
Yes.
Now that we met you.
All right,
Yeah.
done deal.
Yeah, and you guys, I mean, they play out live where they live, and during the summer months, especially with some outdoor venues and things, a beautiful state park. You guys were like the christening act at, was it Mirror Lake State Park?
No, they have a summer concert series there. Oddly enough, that's what the Seth Peterson Cottage is on Mirror Lake. So this area is sort of tied to our music and the folk punk record. Because when we rented that cottage, I was very unfamiliar with this area, but that cottage had a vibe that really struck me. It's very serene there. It's very kind of spiritual, and I wound up moving to this area. And now, they open it up for tours the second Sunday of every month. I usually try to go just to, it's become a place I like. And I think I'm going to rent it again and give a little house concert in there. And
There you go.
Up, Jay.
And people might recognize this. It's what is it? A town actually? Wisconsin Dells. Baraboo is like right next door to it, but Wisconsin Dells, if anybody has ever heard of that, that's the area we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing what the environment, what's around you, what you can come up with lyrically, sound wise, everything. You just get right into the mood that sits around you. That's really cool. And folk punk often talks about the cottage there. The next song you did, was it Stones Like Clouds?
Again, the order that we recorded these all initially, yeah, probably that was probably the third recording. I'm thinking, Lance.
I do believe that was a pretty new song, so we were definitely working on making that one at the cottage. It's one of the first things we did.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the first things we did in the cottage.
And I actually tracked the electric guitar up in the cottage there, I think, on that.
And folk punk quoted, "Sarah's backing vocals are like a siren's song."
Mm-hmm. You can imagine why Odysseus, would be driven crazy hearing something like that and wanting to go find out where it was coming from.
Yeah, well, my wife has a lot of talent, and I'm lucky to have her. But it's always been fun for me to, JJ is a hardworking man, and he's not a musician by trade, but he's always had this. He's an artist through and through. So I'm sure that's like many of us. We couldn't find a way to make our living at it, perhaps, but that didn't stop us from doing it. So he's always been creative. He's always been creating. So we hooked onto this journey years ago. But the funnest part about this album for me, and what drove me on a lot of it, was, I would, really, as you can see, he's really likes, music. So when I can play this stuff for him and, turn him on to how the song is now, he has he gets so excited and so thankful to me. It's really fun to be able to be in that position and, here, Jay, look what we've done here. Look what it sounds like now. And he's flattered that everybody comes on it, and he's really nice to work with, because he will accept everybody for everything. But if people strive hard, and we've done something pretty nice here on this record, then it just it's I think it brings benefits to him, and he gets I think.
And speaking of all
it's just fun to do that playback for you. Like, look at this bass part on Psalm 102. It's so avant-garde. It's so unusual that really, and the song itself is so unusual. So it's really fitting. And and here's Sarah. Yes, You really, I still remember when you first heard it because you flipped.
I did. It was, I don't think I've ever had that kind of an emotional reaction. And it was that one part. I mean, I was impressed and I loved everything. But when you hit that, I just melted. I literally just melted into the chair, into a mat.
Well, it
I'm
just took me 2 minutes, but everything that Lance did to it is what made it really special, and very unassuming part there.
Well, here's an interesting production note if you want about Sarah's part on Stones Like Clouds. We used a reverb on here that's a sampling reverb. I'm sure some of you folks know about that. But it's Altiverb, and they actually go into spaces and famous places and sample. They put up microphones and speakers, and they make a convolution reverb by recording the decay of tones and things in those rooms. So you can actually apply, the famous space.
Do you remember the space this was?
Oh yeah, I did. I totally do because here's the kicker. It's Notre Dame Cathedral. The old one with the 100, 200, 400-year-old oak beams, it burnt down. So you can no longer have a reverb of Notre Dame because it won't be the same. Right. So this is the pre-burning Notre Dame reverb on her vocal there. 9.8 second reverb trail that you're listening to on Stones Like Clouds that's no longer available because Notre Dame has been burnt down. So.
See, this is why I'm so glad that you guys were able to make it on here.
That's
because
I
know none of that.
The cost of the CD has gone up. It's a collector's.
Right? Isn't that kind of interesting, right?
That is so cool.
Awesome. And we were talking a minute ago about the people that came through, and yeah, I am so utterly appreciative and impressed that people would even take the time to sit down and record something on this stuff that I first gave him of just me singing with the guitar. These Are the Times has a cornet part that the gentleman that did it is no longer with us. And, this did take 20 years. So I guess it's not surprising that things could happen within 20 years. Yeah, incredible sound to it. First time I had ever had any kind of brass and real brass, not like, sampled in a MIDI keyboard or something. And I remember recording outside at the farm, again, the Mesa at the farmhouse, like having him play to the barn doors so it would bounce back. And what was that, like a technique you invented, Lance, or is that some kind of producer's trick that to bounce sound off of the side of a barn?
Well, certainly my idea. I'm not sure I'm the first person to think of adding but that's something that is informed all of my work. Is I've dragged you out to Parkside behind where we recorded back behind our old college, right? And I took you to the cottage. I'm about vibe of the place, and it's kind of a quirk of mine, and sometimes it's annoying, but yeah, we would do stuff because the barns and the farm property would have an interesting slap back. So you can't get that with effects necessarily. So we would do vocals and other instruments out there trying to capture that. It's not so easy to do. You got cars driving by, airplanes, neighbors looking at you funny.
And those cornet parts weren't what he played. He played lots of stuff that you went in and like chopped up into making the riff that he was playing, didn't you?
Well, if I don't, if you want to hear that whole story, the cornet player Darren, a super sweet guy. He was from Canada, and he came to the Frank Lloyd Wright School at Taliesin. So, we recorded the track in the Frank Lloyd Wright cottage. So there's just these threads running through here. He was friends with, our friend's band, pardon me, Box Elder and Dear August. And he wasn't, that band was sort of a garage band. They weren't real musicians, but they had such a scene of people, and they were just people who just did it. I'm sure, Frank, you've known some people like this who
Mhm.
sort of,
They were folk punk. They
yeah,
were.
they were just do-it-yourselfers, but they really became a successful little band because they were such a fun hang, and they wrote their own songs, and they really had this
Catchy.
vibe. And they
Yeah.
invited him into their band, and I was recording them at the time, so I asked to come out do it. But he really didn't know, had never done any studio work. He could barely play their horn, so he wasn't really a musician per se. So I just had him take a million takes, and then I just sorted through the whole thing over a couple months and rearranged and moved everything around to make a complete horn track. I think there's 19 tracks of horn on that
Wow.
I was, I don't know why it seems crazy right now, but when I started throwing them together, Frank, I heard these really, if you listen to there's some really cool times where those horns are giving overtones. The multiple horns are lining up there, but it's all one guy just blew through the song like 20 times, and I just cut it all up and moved it together. And there's some really affecting sounding, like Chicago the band kind of cool
Yeah,
horn blending going on there that
I
I
hear
heard
that.
that a few times, so I just had to take that to its full conclusion. But that one had almost 40 tracks at the mix down because of the 19 tracks of horn, so that was a challenging one to mix.
It's no doubt, and once again, everybody in the community will say the same thing. Your production work on Folk Punk's music is just incredible, and we're so grateful um, to have had you do this. And yeah, it's amazing sounds that you've produced here.
Well, it's that's nice of you to say, Frank, and the whole community, because I know that he's been informing me of how it's working with his online friends here, and
Hmm.
it's just rewarding to me of being a friend of his and a fan for so long that he's found a community that supports him and he supports back, and it's really cool what you all are doing, and I'm
It is.
very much admiring, and and
You
because I've believed in him forever, and I worked my ass off on this record,
Yes, you did.
and
yeah.
so it's nice to know that there's other people who do this kind of thing. And Frank, you actually remind me of him a little. I've been watching your stuff. You both are rock and rollers, like, and it's really cool that he's
Well,
got
and
new
that's
friends.
why I said at the beginning with when I joined this YouTube community, I mentioned three artists that caught my attention like immediately, and it was Brad Example, Folk and Blueser, and Folk Punk. And I mean, still to this day, like I'll go out there. Not right now; it's a little cold. We have the same weather you have there, but yeah, as soon as it warms up a little bit, I'll be out there around the fire pit and blasting my little playlist that with all three of them. And Feisty's in there. Your mom sending love to Sarah. Folk
Nice.
Punk.
My Sarah?
Yes.
Aw.
So, Feisty is. I probably have told you guys the story. So she's
Calm down.
married to Folk and Blueser,
Oh, okay.
and there was somebody in the community that kind of when I first came in and everything, and they thought there was like a connection, like if Folk and Blueser and Feisty Feather had a child, it would be a folk punk, and and
I
they
didn't know that story.
that's why I always call her Ma, and I don't think he even realized that they were together. So what it was like, oh my God, they really are all related. So that's why I always refer to Feisty as Ma.
That's
Well,
beautiful.
JJ, if I can just say that one of the things I've always admired about your music is how authentic it is. Really, when you hear it, it doesn't sound like anybody. It just sounds like a true artist, which is um,
Thank you.
makes it so interesting, and you know,
Well, I appreciate, and
Hey, Bon.
that's pretty good because you didn't have to listen to it as much. Poor Lance had it drilled into him for several years through walls when he wasn't even playing with me. And I wonder sometimes if people got to like folk punk like Lance, not because it was good, but just because, if you're programmed with something and you hear it constantly, it doesn't sound quite as bad after a while. But, no, thank you so much. I am amazed that other people dig the folk punk. I am even more astounded that truly talented people dig the folk punk. It just, I'm in awe. I'm in appreciation and awe.
well, it's great music, and I don't know if many people who are watching have gotten a chance to see you play, because I know you're not playing as much anymore because of your hand, but it's kind of a spectacle and it's kind of fun.
Even puppies like folk punk.
There's a show I did almost exactly a year ago, and my headphones flew off while I was playing. I kind of got into it so much. So yeah, I think people, if they've seen any of that, they know.
Yeah, that was a classic moment. And you shared a moment. I think you were in the studio with Lance and Sarah. Weren't you recording something and the chair was spinning? You got to tell that story. My wife was on the ground.
So Lance and Sarah have, I guess, bar stools, I guess they would be, but they're, they spin. And they're kind of like at a Dunkin' Donuts, where the old ones you sit and you could spin. So Lance gave me it, but again, they're bar stools. So they're high enough that, people would sit at a bar. And I'm 5'1". So when I sit on a stool like that, my feet don't touch the ground. And Lance and I are playing and recording, unfortunately not video recording, even though he had suggested that. I said no. And we're recording, and all of a sudden, the chair on its own starts to twist. And I cannot touch the ground and stop it or move it back. And it got to the point where the microphone was completely away from where I was trying to sing. And I just broke out laughing. And when Lance and I play, we often have our eyes closed. So he had no clue this was going on. He was just jamming. And when he heard me laugh, he looked up. And my back was to him, and yeah.
I thought I was laughing at my playing, and I'm like, what a jerk. I'm trying here. I know I'm a little rusty, but and I looked up, he's facing the other way.
But, the kicker was, then he said, oh, yeah, we noticed that happens. That's why I'm not sitting in that chair. You can touch the ground with your feet. I couldn't. Yeah.
That was good.
So yes, let's see. Then we had these are the times that had the horn.
I think we're on to maybe on this time.
The trilogy.
Yeah.
So this was the last three songs there. Maybe on this time, Living in the Streets, and Not a Sky in the Cloud. Were all late, actually early morning, but late into that session. And they just came out, and maybe on this time, it's never been played again. Was that a first cut, Lance?
Not quite. We did work it up once. I found a earlier demo recording of that. I don't think it was a demo. We were just jamming. We actually, we knew we were paying money to go into college, so we actually made a partial attempt to practice. I'm sure that was probably me insisting, and you drove up. And we had a session, but that's probably the first time I heard it. And really cool song, really cool, simple chord progression, but man, that thing rocks. I really enjoy listening to that, and you put the headphones on or turn that up, the album starts getting a little lethargic there.
It does. There's a couple parts where the sound of the keys and everything, the way you mixed it feels and sounds like it's getting, and then all of a sudden it rises back, and it's like these gentle waves in the sound, almost kind of like the live show at Alpine Valley when the Dead would play. The way the sound just would have kind of a wave, like, yeah.
Feisty's asking if that's a great question. I didn't even ask if Lance and Sarah have a channel, YouTube channel that we can, and if you do, can we post it?
Well, we have our little Rustic Road local Baraboo area band, but we've made a couple nice videos, and I guess we'd like to ask you guys to put some stuff up soon for us, or feature us or something, or
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
we have a few videos just about ready to go. I think they came out kind of nice. A little more serene than folk punk, but they're still nice, and there's folk punk in it because I've been playing with JJ forever. I can't quite get it out of my system. So
and
Yeah.
he's like
Sarah,
peanut butter, chocolate and peanut butter. They don't mix, but they go great together.
Sarah, don't you have something through your CD Baby presents for your 2 CDs that you have?
Yeah. Yep. My stuff is still out there, and it's under Sarah Pace, Pace. That's where my music is. Sarah
Behind that.
Pace.
Should go ahead and post that. Michael Ash, how are you, buddy? Bond 75. That's awesome.
Well,
Glad to
we
see you
should
guys.
take this opportunity to say that Sarah's she's a gifted songwriter herself, and she's got a beautiful voice, and I'm lucky to have a musical partner that I get to live with and have children and puppies with.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I found it.
But
There you go.
she has her own thing, and she's self-taught like JJ, and it's different. And it's most people like it, so hopefully you'll be seeing more from us. We do have a channel; we just haven't put anything up on it yet. With
Okay.
kids and wife, and we both work 50 hours a week. Our music is, relegated to the back burner, but we still keep doing it like JJ does. He's off in the winter. Lucky him.
Yeah.
So I
JJ
just threw.
knows all the heavy hitters. So as soon as you put something on your channel, we're going to send it off to some of these streams that will play it, gladly play it.
Nice.
And especially after this show, a lot of people will come back and watch it on replay.
And I just threw the link for Sarah's channel that has her
there it
because
is.
she has 2 albums out already, and a third that's
It's on the same schedule as Stone Like Cloud. So it's going to be out by 2032, I think.
That's good.
But we are recording. We are expecting to record in our friend's pole barn. Our bass player has a big pole barn that it turns out has a really nice natural reverb, and so we're expecting to record there and finish some tracks in May. And
That's
then
awesome.
it would go into the production phase, so the post-production phase after that. But I think you'll find interesting sounds, and I think it'll be another interesting Wisconsin type underground music for you folks to listen to. And
what's the genre that lady from the news when you guys are playing a couple, the newscaster lady, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. And what did she coin? She coined.
that was me. I call it Wisconsin-kana.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Wisconsin-kana?
Wisconsin-kana, right.
Wisconsin.
Like America.
Like America.
Strictly from Wisconsin. Frank, where are you from? Are you one of those Canadian folks, or?
I'm one of those Canadian folks, and you have another producer in here, DJ Big Red. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, he
Hello,
produces
DJ.
some pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, and he's from Canada as well. And yeah, I'm from the Toronto area.
This is just so cool because really nowadays, and I'm just getting into it, and actually watching JJ do all this stuff has really been kind of a learning curve for me. But you can be a busy musician but still have this presence on this whole online community. It's a whole kind of new ballgame with the online community and reach. So things like this are so cool, and we're just starting to kind of dabble our feet in that a little bit.
And you know what's really cool about that, Sarah, is a lot of when maybe I didn't know many people, but when I came into the community, it was a lot of musicians, right? Which is cool. And now what I've seen is like Independent Many United, Michael Ash. You have a lot of just fans. People are here just to support. It's just incredible.
Incredible.
That is awesome.
And it's just beautiful. And this whole community is one big happy family. We have our moments, our
Family.
challenges, but that's exactly it. It's family, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that is. It's a whole new ball game, really, with the people you can meet now and connect with
Yeah.
on this level.
And it's worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a worldwide. Right?
Yeah, it's really been nice what it's done for JJ to he's made a lot of videos, and it's really he's an old friend, and I don't get to see him too much, so we can't hang, and it's just like he's I know he's given and he's gotten a lot back from this community, so I really much respect out to this community that you guys are building here. It's a really I'm not actually a big Google fan, so and YouTube and all that, because of the huge corporate stink behind it. But it all depends on what people do with it, right? What you guys are doing is what I would say is an excellent use of their facilities to host this community, and that just it's not all it's all not all one thing. There's lots of good that can come out of this, and this. If I'd like to address Ryan has sent a comment to me, and he's recorded at Muscle Shoals in '88 on Reel to Reel. So he's another person that I'm sure I could hang with. And hey, Ryan, we got the music bug, and we like good sounds, and we actually our Rustic Road Band was one of the last people to record at Smart Studios in Madison, where they had produced Nirvana's Nevermind. And they had a very fancy Trident desk from Cherokee Studios or something in LA, and a 24-track Studer. That we have a few tracks, that one or two tracks on our album, if it ever comes out, will be the last tracks recorded at Smart Studios on their Studer and Reel to Reel. So the Reel to Reel, I'm sure you would attest to, Ryan, had a really nice sound. Those big washing machine size tape recorders that they had, those were great machines and great ways to make music with incredible sonics that digital doesn't really even beat. That really has some advantages, but the digital, everybody on digital is trying to get that analog sound. So
Yeah.
We listened to music all day coming off that Studer, and our ears never got tired. It was just really smooth and sweet sounding. So much props to Ryan Hall there, and analog recording, and everybody that loves producing and getting into enjoying what you can do with music. It's a wide open world where anything works and you can do anything you want. It's a pretty cool perk and privilege we have to be able to do this.
Totally.
Well done, Ryan.
It's hard work. If you have standards, it's hard work, right?
Oh, and there are people in the community that are craftspeople. They put the time, the effort. That I like to jam.
Hey, George. Oh, hey.
But there are people who are true craftspeople in the community.
Yeah, I've heard some of it, and I've been dabbling in the community. I've looked at Frank's, and I've Folk and Blueser is a great name, and I was on a stream of yours with him, JJ. And really cool guys. That was the one where the headphones flew.
That was the headphone one.
If I could be, JJ's a little self-deprecating, so if you could bear with me with a good one I came up with. You've heard of emo, right, people? Well, I call folk punk Edo. An embarrassing display of histrionics.
Bombastic, yeah.
He's got his own thing. You got your own thing, brother Jay. I may be able to make it down tomorrow. So
having you here was this, and it's even actually kind of better because you get to have Sarah here too.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I know, my better half for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, and Sarah's a part of this because she's on those tracks.
That's her on I Can Wait also. She's singing backup on
Yep.
that. Her on that.
Oh, I just love that song.
Yeah.
And actually, on the video version of that on YouTube, there's a little clip of you that's not on the album version of the song going, I can wait, I can wait, I can wait, I can wait. That I don't know what it was, but I found it on a CD that Lance had. It was like after stuff. It was like just extra that I don't know if it had been burned and you didn't notice it was a track that was burning or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. So that's in the video version.
Try playing it backwards, Jay.
Cranberry sauce.
Hey, I'm so glad to be on this record. I'm super proud of it. And who knew that we'd be sitting on the internet talking about it one day?
I know.
22 years later.
I know.
2 years later.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. Did they have internet back then?
No. Well, it might have been out, but not for us, you know.
Yeah.
DARPA had it maybe, but
Yeah, there was no cell phones. It's older than YouTube.
Yeah. Wow. What song are we on?
So we're in the trilogy, and that was the Maybe on This Time,
Yeah.
where, you know, Johnny is just kind of hoping for a chance. And obviously he's left living on the streets, so his chances are getting few. Living on the Streets is the next song, which, Lance, describe what you told Chris Mell, the drummer, because it came out perfect of what my imagination was for Living in the Streets in the intro.
What I do? Tell him to have a beer and not worry about it. I don't know.
No, you told him what you wanted the percussion to sound like in the intro there.
Your memory's better than mine.
So you told him to make it sound like weather.
Okay.
Like the
like a
wind
storm.
and the weather in the storm.
And you hear those gentle cymbal raises that just, it sounds like wind coming in and a storm brewing outside.
Yeah, that's much love to our friend Chris Mell. He's an extremely talented drummer. We really, this album benefits, I'm glad to hear a few things about my production, but, I could not have done that without these amazing musicians. Our steel guitar player, we haven't mentioned yet, Adam Davis, who was in Sarah's old band. That's where I got him. I was recording Sarah. I threw people from Sarah's project onto the folkpunks project. And, Chris Mell is just outstanding gift for jazzy rock drumming and just knowing what we need to do, and a really cool guy to hang out with. But if I may say, this song right here, if you really think about it, I work in Madison, Wisconsin, and I often see homeless people on my way into work with their cups out for some change. And, it's got a message, and I think helps remind me that, I'm very fortunate, and I strive to live in a society where we could eliminate homelessness, because it's really hard for people. And JJ's song sort of captures the feeling of what it's like to be homeless. And I'm just really proud to be associated with it. And it always strikes me when I play the record is this is a topical song, and this is, really heavy hitting. And it's just, I'm really proud of the way it turned out, and really happy that it's such a strong musical statement about it. Because, every time I see homeless people, I try to do something. I throw them a little something. I say, I wish it could be more, because just, I guess this song has helped me realize what it's like. The song is powerful enough to think about, lying outside, trying to survive outside in the winter.
Yeah, he definitely writes songs that matter, and that matters.
That definitely matters. I hear you, Frank.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the way that you worked it, what was the pedal, the bass pedal that like,
Didn't you tell me a story about a pedal that you found or something?
And it like blew up after that, so it was like the only.
Well, we did live sound at a club in Madison called the Annex, and somebody, one of the big name acts that went through there, left a original Mutron phase pedal, Mutron 3. Garcia used these. These are from the 70s, and they're the size of almost a laptop. But they have that, that 70s circuitry that is hard to duplicate. And, by this time in the late 90s and early 2000s was gone. So this pedal wasn't working. So I sent it to a famous engineer, Eddie Coletti, who used to wrote for EQ magazine, I believe. He lives in the Twin Cities, and he can repair gear. And he's a musician and an engineer and a producer and an electronics engineer. I sent it. He repaired it for me for $350. He sent it back, and we used it on living in the streets here, and it worked once. So I paid $350 for that bass sound. I'm living in the streets there. I think it's worth it.
For us, it is. Thank you.
Another album has story. It's what I think about a long gestation period. Some stories happen along the way. But I'm like, wow, that'd be cool. Get one of that original 70s Jerry Garcia sound, these cool Mutron sounds from the 70s. It's an envelope filter thing. Oh, man. I repaired it. It worked. We plugged the bass into it, and I'm like, it was so great. And the next time I used it, it was dead.
So
Jay, should I send Jay a bill for that? I better not try.
So
That was me. I asked for it.
was it made for a bass to be able to be played through it?
Maybe that was the problem.
That might be part of the issue here. But it is, the sound is thunderous, and it fits the whole instrumental sound of weather, of being outside, of sleeping and living outside. So it was a beautiful sound.
Oh yeah, Chris Bausch, our doctor, was sitting there playing that bass part, and I had an analog delay and that Mutron pedal, and I was sitting there twisting the knobs and playing it to tape while Chris played the bass part, and he was hearing it and playing weird because the sound he was hearing didn't sound very much like his bass. So he was playing weird, and I was adjusting on the fly. And that pedal, I'm like, this is cool. I can't wait to do this on the next project. And the pedal was but still, it was kind of fun. It's a neat way to do it because we weren't looking for a traditional bass sound here because the acoustic tracks were so well done, really. And so we did an avant-garde bass track, and I performed the pedals to tape. Kind of fun.
Very cool. Very cool.
Beautiful
And the way that song then fades out with the bass and the piano, Dave Adler is all over this album, and especially on the last song of the album, Not a Sky in the Cloud. He's kind of a glue, throughout this that connects the tapestry of this fabric.
He's on the book and the last song too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
It's
just beautiful. And this song came from Lance, this last song. It was one that never was played with the other two songs that it segued to. That was just... I have a habit when we would jam, I would just start and wouldn't stop until either somebody took the flanger away from me or, just
take one toy at a time.
Yeah. So I would just go song after song, and I played those three songs together, and, it wasn't, but it worked. The transitions in the key worked. One's in A minor, one's in C, basically. So that just happened to fit, not planned. And for that song to be at the end of the album was the perfect way to tie the concept, the story together. And Lance's vocals, I think that's the only track that you have lead vocals on, is just I can't imagine a better way for the whole story of the album to end. Incredible.
Yeah, it's nice. That this because we were taking turns at the cottage trying to record what we wanted to record, and Jay knocked off like three songs in a row, and I did a song that I had tried to do, and I couldn't get it right, so I kept doing it over and over. We hadn't set time limits, so I took like a couple hours trying to play this part right, and I didn't really quite realize that I had a computer I could edit it better. I didn't even the computer was so new, I didn't understand editing. Poor JJ was just humoring me and trying to wait and wait. So when he got his turn, he bang, knocked off three in a row. Like he didn't stop. He didn't take a breath. He didn't take a drink. I'm like, okay, Jay, your turn. Bam. It's really surprised me that he played two of his and he started with one. It's one of my songs. It's kind of I don't have too many, and he started playing it, so it just fell in. So it was certainly stuff that came, there's the essence of being played in the moment all throughout this record. And
Yes.
the trilogy is certainly the statement of that, or the pinnacle of that, because, he just played three in a row, and somehow I was able to add a band to it.
Which is incredible. And actually,
Wow.
we had to use an extra drummer for one of the songs in the trilogy there, because my just fleeting going was so kind of unkempt that a really talented drummer had difficulty accompanying it, because it really wasn't in time. Who was the other drummer that came in?
It's Greg Rollman from the Gomers. He played with Steely Dan too here a little bit in Madison.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a Steely Dan cover band.
Yeah.
Steely Dan, they're from Dane County, so that's what they're still a going concern. And Dave Adler is like the music director for that band, and they play high school theaters. They play Summerfest. They play, they've got they're an in-demand, concert attraction. But Greg is really good, and what I wanted to do, if you want to hear, what would have happened if he would come up in the winter, but in the summer or in the winter he would be in Florida on a fishing boat that he owned, fishing in Key West by himself. He would fish and haul in fish and sell it all summer or winter, and then he would come play with the Gomers in the summer, and he would tell me about these lagoons on hidden keys down in the Florida that he knew about. So I wanted to take my recording rig and go to Florida and record his drums on a boat in the middle of a lagoon in the Keys.
Wow.
So that's what I tried to do for your drum sound on that one, but it didn't wind up being the most practical thing, and it never happened. That was the one sound that got away on the record, is the drums from a hidden Florida key.
And you would have had to use the Neumann head mic for that.
Yeah.
Lance actually has one of those Neumann head mics that looks like a mannequin's head for the binaural microphone listening.
Binaural recording. It's pretty cool. That's where some of the cricket sound effects and stuff come from. I still do that. I take that thing out to the woods and get away from society and go record crickets and frogs and birds and owls and things. It's my de-stressing time.
That's cool.
Very cool. So that's how this project took 20 years. You can kind of see how it wasn't like, okay, yes, the record label has us in the studio this week.
But that's what makes the whole project, right? The story behind the project. Like, this was, I'm sure everybody in the chat was enjoying this.
Which I
and like you
apologize.
said-
I haven't been watching in the chat. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm paying attention. You just play away. The Gortium's here.
Hey, Guardian.
And Ryan and DJ are having a great time, and Bon and Pookie and Feisty, and they're all still hanging out here with us. And,
That's so cool.
This was a fantastic show. I enjoyed this second half more, just as much as the first half, talking about the making of it. And yeah, this is really cool.
Thank you so much, Frank. Thank
I
you.
just have one question.
Hmm.
JJ, when are you coming up to get started on the second album?
There we go. There we go.
Well, see, with my finger problems of these two middle fingers not bending anymore, both the 3-hour car drive on the steering wheel and playing once I get there, probably. But we used to get together for what we called a singer-songwriter circle. And Lance and Sarah and I would sit together at their house and put a microphone in the middle of us. And songs that, Lance might have known my songs and he knew Sarah's, but Sarah didn't know mine. I didn't know hers. And we would sit close enough that we could actually see each other's fretboards. And we would take turns. We would pass the mic, each one doing a song that we either sometimes covers, but they were mostly originals. And those things became known as Pastor Mike sessions because I phoned one time as Lance was sending me an email about coming up for a Pass the Mike session. It auto corrected it into Pastor Mike session. So I can't wait till I can come up and we can do another Pastor Mike session.
Well, we'll just send a limo for you then, Jay. So
Yeah, there you go. If you can blow $350 on a pedal.
try not to
for one
drink
song.
too much on the way up, pal.
Stumble out of the
Your
limo.
stomach can't
I'm
handle
here.
Oh, yeah, I can't. But Frank, thank you so much. Thank you for all the mods that were here. I know Indy had to get to her show there, but everybody, we had a number of people helping and making this come together. Sarah, so awesome to get to see you. This was great.
It is my honor, my pleasure.
It
Thank
was
you,
wonderful to meet you.
And
Frank.
thank the kids for giving you guys the time to sit.
And the new dog. No, Frank, really, I'm so intrigued, and I'm gonna keep posted with what you're doing. You're doing great stuff out there, so I can't wait to learn more and become a fan.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you'll enjoy a lot of the music in this community. There's so many talented artists. You already know Folk and Blueser, and there's many more Gordiums in here.
I wrote down bad examples. Is that another one that you had said?
Brad example.
What is it, Brad?
Brad, yeah, Bradley.
Brad.
Community.
Brad, BRAD.
Got
example.
No, bad example. That's me, Sarah.
Yeah.
Hi, Yuki.
Oh, Tobias, how you doing?
Hey, Tobias.
Hey, Tobias.
He's another
Dog
great
says hi.
talent out there. There's so many out there.
It's
I
a
can go
great
on
community,
forever.
man. And Frank, this has been really cool.
Yeah, I'm so glad I got to meet you. I mean,
So,
like I said,
can you give a plug for are you having an album come out then, Frank?
I just released my unofficially. It'll go out on Spotify on the 12th of February, and but I had an album release party last Friday, and just played through the album, and we spoke after or during, and but I'll start to release one song every maybe 1 or 2 weeks. But my challenge is the videos. I'm not a big fan of just still image
Right.
video unless
Right.
I might with a couple of them where the lyrics mean a little bit more to me. But yeah, I'll start to release maybe one every 2 or 3 weeks throughout the next 6 months. It'll all be out, but it'll be out on Spotify and all the platforms.
Is it a
couple
band,
weeks.
Frank, or is it under your name, or?
It's Frank Terzel.
And so, is the show you did last week for it, is that up to view or?
Hey, Dano.
The show we did last week was to introduce the album.
Right. Is it still posted or is that?
Oh yeah, that'll always be posted. It'll be
Cool.
under my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And yeah,
We'll check that out.
okay, wonderful. Yeah, and it's already out on Bandcamp. So,
Bandcamp.
and
I
I'm
just
pretty
threw you
sure
a link.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can hear it. You don't have to purchase it, right? Folkpunk, how does Bandcamp?
Yeah, unless there's a little place where you can check in the settings on if you limit how many times people can listen
yeah.
before download. But you can always listen like up to at least 3 times to each track.
But it's on
and
the
even
YouTube
more.
channel. It's on the channel. In the description underneath, you'll see YouTube does it automatically. It'll break up each song, and you can go right to the song without having to hear the whole chat building up to the song. So
Well, it's kind of nice to hear. Sometimes we had fun with it tonight. Sometimes it's nice to hear that. I want to
Yeah.
give a shout out to DJ Big Red who said hi to me in the chat. If there's anyone else I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm bad at chats.
Also, and Feisty Feather there. I would have joined in the chat, but I can't right now because I think, I don't know, it's not letting me. So there's a lot I got to figure out on this TikTok. So cool. I wanted to communicate with the chatters, but I wasn't able to. But I was reading your chats, and thanks so much. What an awesome community.
you'll
This
have an
really is.
opportunity. I'm sure
Yeah.
we're going to see you both again. That's for sure.
That'd be awesome.
And welcome to the family.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
And that's a Stones Like Clouds shirt you're wearing, Frank, if I'm not mistaken.
Woo.
Yeah.
Wow. This is so
Yeah.
awesome. You know?
Yeah, and I've got a Frank Rise shirt.
Ah, I like it.
This community supports each other.
It's really awesome. No doubt about it. I'm just, I'm, sort of not a big online presence, but, it doesn't mean I don't know the good stuff when I see it. And this is that.
And
Oh, show.
And Ryan's saying, Lance and Sarah, great to meet you both.
You too, Ryan.
Right.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of kudos
Cracking,
out here.
fun rocking.
I know all these people probably, well, many of them play music. I can't wait to check them out as well. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay, great.
We're
Thank
gonna-
you, everybody, for coming out.
All right.
And if you haven't bought purchased the album through Bandcamp, please do so. To those of you who just joined the chat, all proceeds, Folkpunk has set up a Bandcamp channel specifically for this Teen Cancer America charity, and all proceeds go. He's going to check again, and he'll post something in the very near future to give you all a heads up on how much he's raised. And sounds like he's sold a few of these CDs already, so it's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming out. I really appreciate it. Great to meet you, Dan, Lance, and Sarah. Folkpunk, I love you, brother.
Hey, Frank.
Thank you for letting me
Thank
do
you.
this.
You are.
I had to rip it out of your hands, and I'm glad you did. So
Did. I'm so glad that you convinced me to do
Happy.
it, Frank. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Good night.
Stay kind and creative, everyone.
Philo.
Good night, all.
Philo. Bye. My old friend.